What a piece of junk.
This is the Shattered Order Podcast.
Go switch off.
If you're looking for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes news, information, and theory crafting, you've found the podcast you're looking for. With your hosts, GoodNightPunk and WinKILLERinc.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 131st episode of the Shattered Order Podcast. I'm your host, who you can hopefully hear with my good friend Wink. What's going on, Wink?
Oh, same old stuff as usual. New week. Man, I was hoping I'd have something clever to say. I got nothing. How's your week been?
Oh, man. I've been, you ever tried to transfer a title on a vehicle?
I haven't, but I've known people who have done that, and I have seen this process, and it looks lovely.
Oh, man. I spent my afternoon at the DMV, so you can imagine how happy I am to be home hanging out on the podcast rather than the DMV, whose apparent potpourri of choice is P. So there's that.
And let's be honest, those people move like they're snails generally, or at least the DMV around here does.
Well, that's what made that sloth from Zootopia so perfect. You know what I'm talking about.
That's quite fitting. Yep.
It's beautiful.
All right, so SWGOH related stuff. Those of you who are our Patreons, you guys should be seeing a new roster review come available this week. That'll be on our Patreon page, and there is a link to where you can put that in your podcatcher so you can listen to them there as well. But Simma from Discord did a roster review with him. It was a lot of fun. He's like a 1.3 million GP, so we went over some things, and I actually took something away from it that was kind of interesting that I hadn't really thought about that I'm going to discuss a little bit later, so that'll be fun.
Nice.
But yeah, very fun.
Very cool. Well, then I look forward to hearing that, because now I'm curious. You've piqued my interest.
That's
There's a
what I
radio
try to
station
do.
here. Oh, never mind. The sports talk here is always, and that's what we call a teaser. So you come back later.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well done. You're learning so
like
well.
to tease.
130 episodes in, 131, and we're getting all the things down.
Indeed. We're working on it. Well, I have an important question for you.
Okay.
Hey guys, what did you do in SWGOH this week?
What a week in SWGOH! Man, each of us have this like ridiculously long list. It looks like a Christmas list, you know, from your kid or something. Like
Good Lord, it's big.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, all right. So
Soundbite that.
Yeah. My bounty hunter ships, I am making progress. IG 2000, I am 28 out of 100. Xanadu Blood, I am 13 out of 100. So, a couple things that I think I should mention regarding these ships and the, of course, math regarding them. If you look to shipments, they're basically 100 crystals per shard, So given that you have 8 attempts per, like refresh, you should be doing the 100 crystals, like energy and refresh on those ships, because that's good value. Once you're spending 200, like either 200 node refresh or 200 crystals for energy refresh, at that point you're spending a little bit more than you would if you just bought them from shipments. So if you're kind of pressed on farming them, that is kind of strategy you should be using there. Also, those $7.99 packs, if you need, like 3 of the ships, probably a pretty good deal. Have you decided what you're going to do about that?
I was about to say, I feel like you're saying that to me to try to convince me again. I don't know, man. I think we'll go over the poll a little later, but I think that I'm sitting firmly in the let me see the kit and then I'll decide if I'm going to do it area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
indeed,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
If I like it, if I think I have the ships to go with it, whatever seems like it would complement it the most, then I might go for it, because I'm actually started to gear. This is gonna sound crazy, I know, but I've actually started to gear crew members as my new project to try to get better fleet placement with my payouts. So at least I gotta be under 200 to get the extra currency there, but I'm always in like the 3 to 350 range, and it's just nasty. So I'm looking for a good fleet. The good news is, even if I go in after the bounty hunter ships, there's a lot of good fleets with them in them right now, so that would also help me with that. And I have all those guys already geared up from the bounty hunters, so I don't know, man. I'm really tempted, but we can have everyone make fun of me about Bastila Sean Fallen and saying I'm not going to buy anything again, but we all knew that was a lie, so whatever.
Fair enough. Yeah, those ships, those are the only 2 I got left. I'm pretty certain that I'm going to get the Falcon at 7-star based on the number of shards I'm getting per day. I should be good there, so we'll see. I've actually been doing the 100 refreshes on Xanadu Blood, trying to get it caught up to IG 2000, and I'm getting there. The drop rates have been awesome on 2000 for me, but Xanadu's been trailing behind a little bit, but I am getting close to getting them balanced out. So not really worrying about the pilots, so I'm just hoping I can beat it primarily with Boba and Bosk, who are, pretty jacked. Let's see. Okay. I know what you're gonna say, but I want to know what people in the chat are gonna say, because I have a Mark 12 thermal, one of the Gear 12 Plus pieces, and I don't know who to put it on. It's basically down to Vader. I use his ship. I worry that I may not use it for long, though, because of the Falcon. Depending on what that kit is, it may kick Vader out of my team, which is what I worry about. Or I could do Wicket, which really only helps me in Grand Arena, which, when it's going, is the only mode I care about. I feel like Vader is a little bit better ROI, but, having a really nasty Wicket sounds kind of awesome. What do you think?
I love it when Wicket gets nasty. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm so on the fence. Maybe I'll decide by next week. Who knows? So I've also been farming. Well, actually, the Night Sister event this week got me 1 shard away from 7-star Spirit, so I'm almost done there. By next week, I will have Lando's Falcon and B2 both done. Should have Spirit done because I only need the 1 shard. Once I finish B2, I'll go get the last shard I need for Spirit, and then I will be on to something else in the Cantina. Who knows what? And then...
Do you have things left?
I do. Let's see. I know I have Aurasing. I have. Let's see. Just I think there's like 2 characters. Oh, Sith Marauder. That's one.
Dang, man.
T3 is obviously finished. Let's
You know what?
see. Where
That kind of makes sense because you used to farm mods with your cantina sometimes, right?
Yes.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I never farmed mods with cantina. Ever since the mod store came out, I stopped doing that even before they had their own energy.
So I think B2, Aurasing, and Spirit are the only the only ones left in Cantina, and 2 of them will be finished by next week. So I'll be on to Aurasing, so that'll be pretty cool. And I've been working on these quests. The new territory war needs to hurry up and start, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But I need 1 more territory war win to beat that bloody Jedi Knight quest. And I need some Wampas to kill for my Bounty Hunter quest. And also that first tier of the Bounty Hunter quest. I have been going through and basic autoing Galactic War for the past week or so, trying to get that, Boba's payout activated 500 times thing. I am super close there. I'll have that finished next week as well.
Yeah, I got an idea.
What?
Okay. You just gave me a great idea. Because
all right.
For those of you watching the live stream, I've hooked up my phone to the live stream. So while we're talking later on, I'm going to finish up my dailies on the stream while we're talking and doing the podcast. That way you guys have something to watch besides my ugly mug. And but I remembered now my Jedi quest is at it's only been being done by the where's this thing? Oh yeah, it's only been being done by my arena team. I haven't done anything else to it. It's 145 out of 200. So when I was planning on simming Galactic War, so I'll just sim it with my Jedi to get more of those done. I like it. Genius. Though nice. I was thinking of some random derpy teams to throw in there for people to watch. But yeah, why when I can do something that helps me out? We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I sliced a mod the other day, and I'm always excited whenever I get these. I've got 2 of them now that are awesome. It's Tenacity Set, Tenacity Primary, and this one has 17 speed. So it is a really, really good mod. I sliced it up to 6 dot, and I believe I put it on... I think I put it on crew. The reason being, I'm trying to get his tenacity up. I think I've got his tenacity to 95%, just to help prevent any, heal immunity, because that's the one way you can really just do a good job at taking out crew. I had to give up, 7,000 health, I think, to do that. Not entirely sure if it's worth it. I hope it's worth it. We'll see. So yeah, I did that this week as well.
Sweet. Always love a good mod story. You always have.
Yeah. Do I?
It's your favoriteest thing. Oh man.
All right. So, what about you, sir? What did you do this week in SWGOH? So,
I finished Imperial Super Commando. I didn't have him done, but the reason I asked you about your cantina is because holy smokes, I am down to the last bits here. I just finished ISC and I only have 2 left, and that's Kit Fisto and Lando. So Kit Fisto is let's see here, he's sitting at 20 out of 100, so he's almost done. And then I have Lando. So if anyone in chat wants to do the maths here, I don't know how much I have left on him. I'm 148 out of 25. So I don't know if it's 330. It's not 330 that you need when you're on /25, I don't think. That's only on the /10 is 330. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. 330 minus 305. I think I need 305 shards. Anyways,
You need a lot.
Lando is the last one I have after Kit Fisto, and then I'm done with Cantina, which is kind of sad. It's almost like when you get to the end of the stores and you knew there wasn't ever going to be anything left. At least in Cantina, I know stuff will go there eventually, but until then, it'll be Crew and the Silencer just for Shard Shop currency, which just feels like wasted time.
That, you know, that's a really good point, because once you're done with Cantina, the Crew node is the one you should absolutely be farming, because you get the ship, you get the character, so you're double dipping on the Shard Shop. Yep. So keep that in mind whenever you get to that point, if you ever get to that point.
Maybe I won't get to that point. Maybe some of these other Old Republic characters will drop, and one will be in Cantina before I finish Lando. We'll see. But
yeah,
I'm reaching the ends there. I'm also like almost finished with a hard node, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think I have, let's see here. I told you earlier, but I forgot what the number was. Yeah, I'm 86 out of 100 on Bosk, so almost done with him. That'll be nice. So I'm going to have to figure out what's next, and it'll probably be a ship. So
nice.
Probably add that in there. Oh, super exciting news. Sith Fighter got him to 5 stars. So eventually I'll be able to beat everything in the fleet, because my Sith Fighter is soon to be awesome. So everyone better look out.
Yeah.
The only other thing I did this week was soloed the Heroic AT with the Finn CLS Han BB-8 C-3PO team.
Yep.
And that was actually kind of eye-opening from what we said on the podcast a few weeks ago, as far as it's not full auto technically. I mean, you could, if you get 3 confuses on all 3 of the side droids, you can pretty much start full auto from there, and it'll run all the way to the end. But even then, it's kind of dicey whether you finish phase 1. Not to mention those stinking droids on the side will AoE, and since half those people have retribution or counter, they'll just take them out, and then all those confuses are wasted. I don't know, man. It was hard to set up for me. So I realized that it takes a little bit of more setup than just hitting auto than I thought it would, but got through it, and it's long. Man, that's a long solo. I think that took 35 minutes. So 35, 40 minutes. It's not too bad.
Dang.
And if you got the time to sit there and do it, it's cool. But that is the only one I've done so far, because
fortunately, phases 2 through 4, you don't really have to touch. It is full auto. It can do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? One thing I don't understand, though.
What's that?
I believe, like, whenever you transition phases in the Heroic AT raid, you have to tap the screen.
Yeah, super annoying. That's really...
Why? You don't have
know.
to in the Rancor. This makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Story mode, man. They got that story mode added to the Heroic AT. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no.
It's always annoying, because I would, like, sit down... When I only soloed phase 3 and 4, I would set the phone down and go do something, expecting it to be done when I got back, and like 30 minutes later, I would come back and it would be at the transition between 3 and 4, because I forgot again that you had to press the button. Yeah, super obnoxious.
Yep.
So you can't just set it and forget it, because you got to click it through every phase. So also another weird thing there, but yeah. Did that for the first time. Feel good about it. Pretty cool. So that's pretty much all I've been doing this week. That and Garen, I told you about this earlier too as well, but I told the podcast last time, my last big project team that I did was the Ewoks. Paid off in the end. Right now I'm working on crew members, so I'm trying to build a fleet that I can actually compete with, because my fleet is just hot garbage. So looking for something good. If you guys have any team ideas, you want to look through my SWGOH.gg site and help me out with that, that'd be totally fine with me, because as you know, I'm not a ships guy and I don't know a lot about them. So if people want to help me out, I would appreciate that. So
yeah. Nice.
You can find me on GG pretty easily. Just look up GoodNightPunk, and it's my account in Shattered Order. So there you go.
And if anyone has your ally code, which is actually in the show notes, both of our ally codes are in the show notes in case you ever want to just add us or whatever. But also, if you just go to swga.gg/p/whatever the ally code is, it'll take you to that person's profile. So that's another way to find our profiles. Which, speaking of SWGOH,
like we have been for 20 minutes?
Well,
oh,
I don't know.
Okay. Gotcha.
SWGOH.
I was thinking SWGOH. Sorry.
I got no idea what is going on with their site. With that, there's an ad issue or something. Sim and I were talking about this in the roster review that we did because I was looking at his account on SWGOH and it kept redirecting me, trying to make me download a Flash player that I'm pretty sure wasn't a Flash player. I literally was about to lose it. I'm not even kidding. And then I saw something on Reddit about it that there seems to be some sort of issue with that going on. I don't know if it's an ad that's on the site that's causing it to happen or what, but oh good God, it's horrendous.
Well, hopefully they get that taken care of soon.
Hopefully so.
Can feel the frustration.
Oh yes, yes. Makes you want to punt a kitten.
You ever played that Exploding Kittens game? Off topic here.
Okay, so I could talk games all day. It's funny, we were actually talking about games the other day, and somebody mentioned that game. And no, I have never played it. I've played What Do You Meme and Cards Against Humanity. I've got both of those, but I have not played the Exploding Kittens game, but I've heard it's pretty good. What is it exactly?
I've only played it once, and I forget how to play it now, but I remember laughing my butt off for like 4 hours. So nice.
I'm going to have to check into that because me and some friends, we do a game night every week. We love playing board games. So, total detour. So for Christmas, so for Christmas, I got the Game of Thrones Catan, and if you like Settlers of Catan, the Game of Thrones version is unbelievable. It is so good. It adds a lot to the game. It is really just absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's so much fun.
Nice.
So we've only played it once so far, but it is truly great. However, the sultry female also got me Star Wars Monopoly. And it's the old school version. It's the one that actually came out in 97. It's the 20-year anniversary edition. I haven't opened it. It's never been opened. Like, I'm on the fence about opening it, but at the same time, I'm like, I know I'm going to eventually open it because next time I play Monopoly and I can be the Millennium Falcon. I mean, come on. That's clearly got to happen. But that's it. That's my detour. Do you have anything else that you didn't swung on this week?
Dailies, farmed things, normal stuff.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Super exciting stuff.
Awesome. All right.
Missed Grand Arena. Can I say that?
Oh, dude. What?
Can I come back now?
I don't understand why they
won
can't.
This month. Only one. It hurts my heart.
It is the best game mode by a long shot in this game. Come on. Like, you could run. There should always be a territory war and a grand arena going at all times, no matter what. Then you can throw in the assault or the territory battles, during downtimes or whatever. But you should always keep those going. And there is so much potential with the grand arena. Like, why not make this like an esports type thing? You could easily do that with the grand arena. That's basically what it is. It's great. I just, God, I love that game mode so much. I'm ready for it to come back. I can't wait.
Tonight is Punk takes Wink off track night. I'm just gonna keep saying small things to try to make you hop off the track and go somewhere else.
It's not that difficult, but yeah, you're doing a good job so far.
Keep it up.
All right, so let's jump to this next topic.
I was a SWGOH character. How would you mod me?
All right, this is the modding segment.
Heyo.
This is my favorite segment of the show. This is the first time in which it will become a regular segment every week. So if you guys have suggestions, the modding discussions spot on our Discord, discord.me/shatteredorder, is a great place to go drop suggestions. Always open to hearing stuff there. Let's see. This was kind of interesting because when Simma and I were talking during our roster review, kind of started talking about mods, and there was because as a more endgame player, there are things that I don't get the opportunity to even think about, or that wouldn't just come into my mind unless it's kind of pushed to me and I'm required to think about it in a way, which is kind of what happened here. And I kind of started talking about, various stats, and it was kind of something we talked about not too long ago, the fact that, like, say, flat defensive stats, that is going to benefit your resistance a lot more than it's going to affect your armor, as far as, resisting special damage versus your armor against physical damage, just because, it's a smaller percentage, and increasing it by a flat number is going to be a bigger percentage than, you get how that works. So that got me thinking even more about these flat statistics on characters. And if you are one of those people that, a newer player, like I would say probably under 2 million GP, 2.5, like if you're under that range, I think this could really benefit you. And it could certainly benefit people above that as well. But like your tanks especially, if you're focusing on finding really high, like, defensive or health or protection, those flat numbers, I think defense more so than anything else, that can be incredibly beneficial put on your tanks whenever you're talking territory war or grand arena, just because, you have that smaller number, so you're bumping that up as much as you possibly can. And I kind of think that is probably a pretty good strategy in general. It's kind of one of those things that your percentage defenses, like, they're pretty balanced once you get to higher, top tier gear levels. It's kind of the same thing with offense, like your flat offense and your percent offense. They're fairly equal on, like, characters that do special damage as far as what they get. But whenever you look at, say, defense defense percentage, defense flat, it's kind of about the same on, say, a high-end Gear 12 character. But as you start going down in gear levels, those flat numbers start becoming more and more important. So I kind of think focusing on looking for mods that have, those 3 and 4, 5 procs on a defense or health or protection for especially tanks at those lower gear levels is going to be really beneficial, just because, one, most of your enemies aren't going to have very good defensive penetration, and, you're just getting a big boost in stats that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah, and a lot of those mods that you get from assault battles, if you're beating them, will suddenly be worth a lot more to you in the early game than they would in the late game. So when you get drops of those 6 different blues as a newer player, and you can find some of those that proc like that, they're a lot more beneficial in the early game than the late game. For me, obviously, unless it has a stat I like on it, I just sell it. But those, pretty much, there's a wealth of stats for lower level characters that are going to be really good for you there. So
yeah,
beating those things will be really good.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, we talked about mods a little bit in that. So if you're a Patreon, make sure you go listen to that because I think there was some pretty good advice given there. But something else that I've been doing lately is all of my purple mods. I went and took every purple mod I owned to level 3 so that I could see what that final stat is. And then, you know, it's like 6,000 credits to find out if it's going to get a stat that you like or not. And then you can decide what to do with it from there. But it's that's a pretty low cost to just kind of get in and, you know, go from there.
And that's a good point to make because it's so easy just to click on a mod and drop it at 15 and see what happens. But much more cost efficient if you don't have a lot of credits to do it that way.
Yep.
Then decide if you're going to keep it or not, because you'll get more credits back if it's at 15 when you sell it, but you're not going to get your full money back. So level 3 is probably the way to go for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And you know, even if you're not sure, just taking it to gear 12 is, you know, generally a good idea. Just see what the stats are, and then you can go from there. Because after that, the only thing that changes is your primary stat. So. Yeah, and just another general piece of modding advice. I would say this is kind of in my mind because a mod that somebody put in our Discord that was it was a speed arrow crit damage stat bonus, but the thing had like 7.5% crit chance. Looking for mods like that where the secondary stats or the elite secondary stats really complement the primary stat or the set bonus is huge. And that's like what I was talking about earlier with, you know, a tenacity primary on a tenacity set. I love those mods. I love them so much because if I am putting a slice tenacity mod on a character, I damn sure care about making sure that character is not getting debuffed or something along those lines, which means I'm probably going to be using a tenacity set bonus anyway. So it's better to have that set bonus than have something else completely random like health that, you know, may cause you to end up with a broken set because you still need like a crit damage or something, you know. So yeah, that's tip of the week right there.
Beautiful. I like it.
Awesome. Well, what were we going to go to? Oh, that thing. We're going to this.
Strong with us, this update is young Padawans.
All right.
Well,
so the
ruling came down.
Yeah, they stealthily updated the calendar. If you've been checking it just to see if it got updated, they said they were going to fill it in a little bit once they came back from the holiday break they were on, and they did do that. Not a lot.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought of something. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Are you sure? It's not too late.
Go ahead.
All right.
I was just gonna mention something about the Falcon requirements.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. So the main thing that they filled in was territory wars, territory battles, and Grand Arena, and the scheduling of that. So as it goes, there are going to be 4 territory wars. So much better than the 0 from last month.
Hey, this is not the drop that I played. I played for update, not the calendar. What's wrong with you? Carry on.
Oh, there's an update up there. I don't know. We usually do calendar before the update. My bad. All right. So anyways.
I did the notes this week. This is what happened. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep going with the calendar, and then we'll roll into the update. How about that?
Well, I got to play this then.
Okay.
Always in motion, the future is. To the calendar we must look.
All right, we're good.
All right, so as I was saying, they filled in most of those things. 4 territory wars, 2 territory battles, pretty standard there. The one wild card in all of it was Grand Arena, which was new, and how they would schedule that in there. And there's only one this month. Only one. Ugh. Please, why? Come on. I hope that in the next month, I hope that February they realize that everybody wants this more often than once a month. Please put it at 3 out of 4 weeks. If you want to give a week off, give one. That's fine. I want to see this game mode way more than this would indicate. So Rebel Assault already started a few days ago on the 7th. Coming up after that is the Territory War Community Style, which we were given information on the teams and what was pulled out on that this week in the update. But Territory War Community Style is on the 14th of this month. Immediately after that one, on the 17th, is another Territory War. But the question is that one Community Style, or does it go back to normal after that?
No one knows.
We have not had any indication on that. We'll see. So we might have 2 community styles in a row, which, you know, maybe after the first one, we'd all learn a little bit and it might be a little better, but we might all still hate it, or we might all love it. Who knows? But the first one's coming up on the 14th, and there's one right after that on the 17th. Then after that, on the 19th, is the Grand Arena Tournament number 5. So that'll be started on the 19th and run in the same time frame as Imperial Retaliation, which starts on the 21st. The 28th is the next Territory War after that, and the 31st is the one after that. Nowhere in there does it say anything about these Territory Wars and what they are, so we will find out. But the big takeaway for me is that Grand Arena is only on there once. Hopefully that's not an indication of the amount of Grand Arenas we're going to get, because that small taste of Grand Arenas every week was just amazing. And it was
awesome.
So one thing to note, we have been given a lot of information in the update about the Millennium Falcon. It is coming. It is the Millennium Falcon. You know what? I'll mention this last point during the update, so let's get into the update. Don't play the sounder again.
I like playing sounders. All right.
I know you do.
So, all right. So they finally announced the requirements for the Millennium Falcon. You can use any 3 bounty hunter ships.
What?
So,
Did he scratch the record?
What?
I could not make a scratch sound with my mouth. That was terrible.
What?
I think you screwed that up. You need to go back and edit yourself.
No. I said it correctly. Any 4 bounty hunter ships.
Oh yeah. I must have seen something or heard something wrong. I don't know. Sorry.
Hey, rewind the podcast. I said any 4. I promise. So
this isn't the movie Click. I can't just rewind a live podcast. Although that would be really cool. I don't know.
So any 4 of the 4 bounty hunter ships. So you can use Houndstooth, Slave 1, IG-88, and Xanadu Blood, or you can use Xanadu Blood, Houndstooth, Slave 1, IG-2000. Like, there are so many options.
Wow.
It's so great. Yeah. It's kind of amazing.
That's a lot of options. Maybe by any they meant
it is.
It's the 3 that start, and then the 4th, the reinforcement changes. It can be different. That's why you can set any 4, because you start with 3. And
holy
there's a
crap!
Reinforcement. So
that makes sense. That makes total sense. Anyway, that was weird, but yeah. Hopefully y'all know what we're talking about. If you don't, sorry. So yeah, the bounty hunter ships, Houndstooth, Slave 1, IG-2000, and Xanadu Blood. Those are the 4 ships that are required for the Millennium Falcon. It's a legendary event, 5-star unlock, up to 7-star potential. Han, Chewie as the pilots, and as a man.
Let's talk about that. Hardest 2 pilots on a ship to get. Not that Han Solo is hard to get, but it does take time, and it's going to take you a long time to get Chewbacca if you're new. Of course, it's going to take you a long time to get Falcon if you're new too. But it's just crazy how you got a legendary and you got a raid character as the pilots. It makes sense, obviously, because those are the pilots of that ship. But it's just crazy thinking about it now that we're here.
Yeah,
that's the pilot. So.
Yeah, and coming from a man who has is only one gear piece away from having both of them completely maxed. I am so excited to stick this ship in my lineup, hoping that this will make Arena far easier. We will see. I am pretty excited, though. I'm really hoping that this kit is awesome and maybe hopefully pushes us away from, I guess these ships, along with Anakin, have kind of pushed Mace into the meta. I'm kind of curious to see if the Falcon maybe pushes Akbar into the meta a little bit, because we've had Thrawn and Tarkin be so interchangeable. They've been so good for so long. We kind of need another ship. It would be awesome if, there was a way to have all those ships kind of in the meta to some degree. They've done a pretty good job at that right now. I mean, we do have 3 that are pretty reliable. And I mean, I faced an Admiral Akbar in the top 5 the other day. So it's not that crazy, but yeah, it'd be cool to see. I can't wait to see what the kit is. That's basically what I'm saying.
So another interesting thing, in the kind of a rewind here, during the podcast last week, there was a puzzle that went out right before we started trivia, and that puzzle took almost a day to finish, like 24 hours. It was over 24 hours, probably close to 25 hours to finish that puzzle. Now, when it came out, we saw things that said parsecs, and we kind of all just assumed it was, oh, they're announcing a Millennium Falcon, sweet, because it said parsecs. Well, as time went on, there were so many freaking layers to this puzzle that I watched over 24 hours. It's crazy. So shout out to Sig at SWGOH.com. His Discord had a channel in it where they were trying to figure out this puzzle. And just, if you were in his Discord reading as they were going through this puzzle, it was a lot of fun. But there was a word search part to the puzzle, and people started getting there were all kinds of character names in this word search. Some that are in the game, some that aren't in the game, and people started thinking, well, maybe this is a road ahead post, and kind of telling us different things that are coming. And one of them was another Rebel capital ship. Profundity, I think was the name of it. Something,
really?
No ship no one's heard of, nobody knows much about unless you look it up. But I just, when you were just talking, I'm like talking about Tarkin and Chimera. I was thinking, how cool would it be to have more capital ships in the game, especially ones for not just making 2 rebels, but getting a resistance and getting that first order, getting the droid one. We think that might have been hinted at.
Yep.
Droid fleets. There's all those things that would be so sweet. I was just thinking about this when we were talking about it. Ships is just kind of something that I've never really cared about, because the reason I don't want to raid is because there's not that many of them. There's not enough parity. But then I'm thinking, how do they fix that? Well, if they were to pump out a bunch of ships, they'd have to still keep pace with character marquees with it, I'd think, right? So
yeah,
how will they ever fix that problem? I'm going off topic again, but I don't know how they'd ever fix that problem, but it would be really cool if they could get a bunch of ships pushed out this year to make ships give it more parity and give more options for what you do with ships. More options even in the fact that most territory wars or grand arenas and things like that, you can't have more than 1 node for ships. Because if you do, you just cripple anything else that's going with it, So
yeah, hoping
a legendary ship, and maybe the amount of ships we saw put out last year is pushing towards that this year, but we'll see. I'm excited to
there's
see
going to be
what happens with this, with the new Falcon, with ships in general. Kind of why I'm farming crew or gearing crew members now.
There's going to be a lot of potential later in the year, because we have Star Wars Episode 9 coming out in less than a year. So that's going to be an awesome opportunity for a Resistance and a First Order capital ship, and even more ships in those factions. So I suspect by the time we kind of start hitting that August random month that I just totally picked, swear to God, once we hit, around August or so, I suspect that we'll start seeing more of those ships, whether it's, capital ships or whatever, and could start creating more factions and ships. I enjoy ships now the way they are, because it's kind of plug and play based on the abilities, and you get to mix in abilities that don't really fit together. At some point, ships are probably going to be like characters now. Like, you almost have to do factions just because you're leaving so much on the table if you don't. So, you know, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? For the longest time in Arena, when the game was new and ships weren't even in it, a lot of Arena teams had no synergy. It was just, here's a really good overall leader, punch in some tanks, punch in some DPS, and have a good Arena team.
That's true.
And we used to talk about this a lot,
true.
how we really wanted synergy teams to be a thing. And through the life of this game, they've definitely made that happen. So I think that in a way, ships are pretty old now. What, they're a year? Are they a year or 2 years now? I can't even remember.
2 years. Over 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. So they've been around long enough. I have a feeling that hopefully we'll start seeing that synergy play its way out in ships now and start shaping the way we look at ships the same way characters did, hopefully. But we'll see.
Yep.
So,
all right, let's see. Other things on the update. The B-28 bomber is now farmable. I think it was Dark Side 6C or something. And the other thing was they just dropped a little message to us, or to the community earlier today, about Zeta Finn and C-3PO. They found a fix. They fixed it. And they tested it more and decided that that wasn't the solution that they wanted to throw out to the community. So they are kind of back to the drawing board there. So we're not at the point that we're going to see anything on that yet, but look for it in the future. And the other thing is the Road Ahead post. We should be seeing that in the next couple of weeks.
I'll believe it when I see it.
All right.
Or they will redefine how many days are in a week. One of the two.
That's possible too. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll
needs
see it
to
in the next week or two, but I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, this whole 7 days in a week thing's ridiculous. We've been doing that for so long. It's time for a change.
It's all about change. That's one change that Obama did not bring us. Is weeks.
That
days
is
in
true.
A week.
That is true.
But how long did it take us to get the Road Ahead when the last Road Ahead when they told us it was coming? 2 months? So if it takes 2 months, it'll be the road behind because that quarter will almost be done. So hopefully we'll see it soon. But like I said, I can wait and I will wait. So there's that.
All right. Let's throw some stuff out to the community. How's that sound?
I like it. What are you thinking?
You don't always have to pay for the best. Sometimes the best things in life are free.
Oh yeah, free stuff.
I like free
All
stuff.
right, so if you are new around here and don't know, we like giving free stuff out to everyone who is a Twitch sub and, well, not to everyone who is, but everyone who is a Twitch sub has an opportunity to get something along with Patreon. So, you know what? I'm just going to pick a random person on our Twitch list. And it's going to be a Twitch list. Yep.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Who is it?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Who wins the gift card?
Captain Coke 702.
Captain Coke 702.
Yep. You have won a $30 gift card to the Apple iTunes store or the what do they call it? Google Play Store. Yes. Either one of those.
The Google store.
Indeed. Thank you to everyone who supports us and subs to us on Twitch. And of course, if you want to get in that opportunity to win the free $30 gift card, you're an Amazon Prime member. You can do that by linking your Amazon Prime account, and you have a free sub to give every single month. And of course, that enters you to win. So, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to give away a $30 gift card to patrons.
Hey, Patreons.
How's that sound?
I like it. Am I eligible?
You, sir, are not eligible. As much as I wish that you were.
It sounded like you were thinking about it. I don't know. All right.
I really, I wanted to give it to you, but I just, no, can't do it.
That would be stealing
Can't
from
do it,
our
Cat.
wonderful Patreon. So, let's give it to them and see who we got.
All right. For the $30 gift card, that is going to go to Azaziel.
Azaziel. All right.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Hit us up and we will get you a very beautiful, lovely gift card. And let's see, for that $10 gift card, we are going to go to Boba Finn.
Boba Finn here. Throwback.
Yeah, big time throwback. That was entertaining. So Captain Coke 702, Boba Finn, and Azaziel, thank you for your support and congratulations on the giveaway.
Yes,
and
we appreciate
while we're
it.
at it, would like to thank all of our Patreons. We actually have 2 new Patreons for the month of January: Dorian Blade and Randy Marsh. Thank you, guys.
Very nice. Thank you. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you so much. You both look amazing in blue in our Discord channel, by the way. And, of course, all of our December patrons, we would like to thank. And everyone who's ever been a Patreon, thank you. But I'm going to read off everyone who was a Patreon in December, and we really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. 2, Ringer, Jpod, Simma, Supreme Vengence, EltonBlues, JaredT, Electroduval, Azaziel, Chickenbottom, BMZR, Cable, Rooskis, Benzie, Zsplash, Stlbrews, Recoyle, Worbobby, Boourns, DrSheSith, Turner Viobi, Tiric Thorn, Vestara Khai, Rock, Painted Land, Elon Mustard, Boba Fett, Jitsu Jet, M4, Seafront 02, Dean Paxton, Bucky B, Wookie Cookie, Gor Stag, Lauren Duthane, Michael Bluth, DJ, Infidel, Zyzer, Darth, Molly, Muckmole 2, Sleepy Bulldog, Ron Paul, Bunyan, and last, but most certainly not least, Han Pikey. Thank you, you guys. We really appreciate it. You help us. May you help us keep doing the show, honestly. And we thank you.
I think next week you should do the Twitch subs, because those are some names you've never done, and it would be fun to see you try that.
Oh, that could be brutal.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
That would be brutal. Yeah, I'm not sure that I could. I mean, we can totally do it, but I'm not familiar with those names, and I'm probably going to butcher a lot of them. But that would be fun.
That's what makes it fun.
I agree. I like it. Alrighty. I think we have another topic to go to next. I can't remember what. Oh, there it is.
Since everyone loves a good poll, let's dance through the results and see what you thought this week.
Poll time!
Etc. Did you just get the title of what? The poll? The poll? The title of this week's poll is What a Piece of Junk. So.
Ah, yes, I forgot.
Yes, that is a quote from Luke talking about the Millennium Falcon. It is also the very beginning of the video intro and sound intro to the podcast. So it is in there.
Yeah.
Luke with his super whiny voice going right after it. What a piece of junk.
I feel like this was a pretty good poll, and it was it wasn't too junky. The poll wasn't junky, but I think it was non-junky. right?
That's a beautiful synopsis of what we've got going on here. He was not too chunky. I like it. Way to go. So,
all right, so what's our first question?
First question. Rate your excitement level for the OT Millennium Falcon on a scale of 1 to 5. Basically, I wanted to know how people felt about the Falcon coming, about them getting it, whether about them not getting it, you know, what just the overall heat index of the legendary Millennium Falcon. 5 being that people are hyped up, and 1 that people are just meh, whatever. And yeah, it's pretty, like, you got a nice little pyramid right there at around 4, because 4 was the highest. We had 175 responses to the poll, so thanks to everyone that got out there and voted. But we got 49 votes for 4, which was 28%, and then both 3 and 5 were 24%. So the majority of people feel somewhere between 3 and 5 about the Falcon. I put a 3 simply because 2 of my bounty hunter ships are 3 stars, so if I want to unlock it, it's going to take some work, and I would have to decide whether I wanted to do that or not. So, and it's a ship, so if it were a character, I'd probably be much more inclined to want it. But
I kind of think that's the only reason for the 1s and the 2s is that ships have been a little lackluster in a way. I mean, you have the arena, but it's I don't know. It don't feel the same. I don't know.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Chimera because I barely unlocked it. So I mean, it's just not super exciting to me. But
I would say I'm like a 4.
Yeah.
I'm kind of right there with most of the people that, or the highest response here. All right. What's our next question?
Our next question is, by the way, I'm watching this arena fight that I have autoing right now, and I got 7 seconds left, but the auto almost pulled it out. Almost. All right.
Nice.
Do you already have Han Solo and Chewbacca at gear 11 or higher?
Ooh.
So basically, another thing I thought was cool about this legendary event was the 2 pilots don't need a lot of work for most people once you unlock the ship. I know
That's
for
true.
me, they're both gear 12, ready to go. I'm almost positive. I'm positive it's the same for you. So I wanted to know if everyone was like that, so that was part of the question. And pretty close, technically 83% of people have both at gear 11 or higher for that ship. So if they are able to unlock it, they're going to be using it right away because they're going to have the pilot. The pilots are already ready to max out the crew abilities if they're gear 11. So already ready to max out crew abilities for 83% of people. Now, the second biggest chunk of people were 12.6% that said Han is geared, Chewbacca is not geared or isn't unlocked. So, you can't use a ship without the character, correct?
That is correct.
You can unlock it, but you can't use it, I believe.
That is correct.
So,
I mean, it would basically be a kamikaze ship. That's not helpful.
yeah, for sure. So, yeah, these 12, that's the 2 big chunks, and that makes up, what, 95%? So the other options really not anything to speak of. The next highest one has 5 for no, neither are geared, so that's goes more towards our newer listeners there. But yeah. Why don't you hit us with question 3?
Alrighty, question number 3. The event was originally incorrectly announced as 3 bounty hunter ships and not 4. Would you have been able to unlock, which is 5-star or more, at 3-star? And the possible options were, yes, could unlock Falcon at 3 ships, but not 4. No, could not unlock at 3 or 4 ships. Yes, could unlock at 3 or 4 ships. Or I only have 2, sad face. So I only have 2, sad face was 9% of people. The biggest pie, which was 48% of people, said yes, they could unlock at 3 or 4 ships. It didn't matter the number. And then there was 24% of people that said they could not unlock at 3 or 4 ships, so they're hopeless. And let's see. The last part of the pie is 19% for those who would be able to unlock at 3 ships, but not 4.
That was the green section. That's why the smiley face was added.
Aw, that's not good.
No, sorry, anti-smiley face. There you
Yeah. Anti-smiley face.
I only got 2, so
yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that half people can unlock at 3 and 4. I mean, I guess I did put unlocked, not get 7 stars, so that's a little more understandable if people have been farming those ships since they dropped. So that makes sense. Pulse sits right about where I would think it would then.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of about what I expected. Nothing too out of the ordinary.
All right, so the next question goes to kind of what we were talking about with the heat index question. And that is, do you feel inclined to panic farm for a ship the same way you do for a character? And the answers are no, yes, and it depends on the ship. 54% of people say no, they do not feel inclined to panic farm for a ship. So
crazy.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm that same way, though. I would probably put myself in the depends on the ship, because the Falcon and Red 5 are 2 ships that I definitely feel like I would farm for.
Yeah.
Red 5 for sure. That thing would be awesome. Even though there's a lot of X-Wings already in the game, just knowing it is the Red 5 is pretty sweet. And it would be a good ship, I'm sure. So 32% of people agree with me on the depends on the ship, and the last 15% say yes, they feel inclined to panic farm ships the same way they do characters. Yeah, I just don't feel like there's enough that ships do in the game to warrant the same treatment, if that makes sense.
I totally agree. If I wasn't pretty in-game, I would be a no on this part, but it's not like I have much else that I'm farming anyway. So, yeah, I might as well go all in on the Falcon because, hey, it's the Falcon. And it's going to help me in Grand Arena. You know, that's going to help me more in Grand Arena than anything else I would be farming. And that's kind of where I land on these sorts of things at this point.
See, that's where I'm off on that. Because to me, also, it could mean there could be something coming next month as well, right? We have these speculations of a Darth Revan or a Malik, or knowing Sith month. They call it the Sith month. I think the community calls it Sith month because over the last 2 Februaries, we've gotten a lot of Sith stuff.
True.
So I'm trying to weigh my options of if I did do this for a ship, which I don't really care that much about ships. If I did this for a ship, would I be less inclined to go after a character that might be more important if it came out next month? You know what I mean? So
good point.
I'm kind of leaning right now on the side of not worrying about it and getting it the second time around and worrying about a character if it came out next month. But there's obviously no indication or anything saying there's going to be a ship or a character next month, but it's just kind of a, if I did this now, I would not do it later type of thing.
Yeah.
Or I would do both and feel like crap. So, which is a
Makes
terrible way to think about the way that, because it just costs so much that you're like, oh man, I don't want to spend that much money twice. But that is the way it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a good point. And you know, so we've had these other Old Republic characters, you know, coming up. So there's certainly a good chance that they could be required for Malik or whoever else, or Dark Revan or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of things to think about, and a ship isn't used in any raids. Characters are. Characters are probably going to be a better ROI in general, but I think that's why they need a raid or something that has a ship phase where you kind of need to have better ships, if they really want people to care more about ships.
Mm-hmm. They need to be used. They need to have more value, basically.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
My opinion. So we'll see.
All right. Next question is: are you willing to see the Millennium Falcon? Are you waiting to see the Millennium Falcon's kit before deciding what you're going to do? Over 50% of people said no. The kit is not going to decide what they do. They've decided they're going whichever way they're going as of now. There was a little over 38% of people that said farming is normal, but not panicking till I see the kit. So once they see the kit, if they think it's worth the crap, they'll freak out and start blasting crystals. Let's see. 5% said currently not farming bounty hunter ships until I see the kit. And there is another 6% that said yes, they are waiting to see the kit before they decide anything whatsoever.
That's me. I am in the smallest bracket of every one of these questions as it goes to the Millennium Falcon. I feel like the true minority in all of these questions.
Yeah, well, that don't surprise me.
Yeah, well, ships.
It's ships, exactly. That's exactly.
So the next question I asked, because it's kind of, I don't know if catch-22 is the right word, but they're in this. So there was a change to community-style territory wars. We didn't really talk about it in the update, so maybe we'll go over that a little bit after the main topic. But because we got all the list of characters that are pulled out and everything, but originally devs had 4 groups of 4 characters, and they were going to pick one of them to leave in territory wars and pull out the other 3. Well, once the update came out, it turned out that they took out one and left the other 3, citing that it would take out too many teams, and it was that's basically all the things that the community has said over the last couple weeks, So they did go in and change it and made it a little more friendly. So instead of 28 teams, it's now 20 teams. Not teams. Instead of 28 characters being left out, it's now 20. Which I'd say is a pretty decent reduction. And a lot of those characters in the dev area were really good ones. So, yeah, it's just... the catch-22 part was that I've seen people that are really happy about that, and then people just totally digging into them for changing it. So I wanted to ask this question to see what our podcast listeners thought, and it pretty much was the same as what I described. A lot of people were like, this is better, I'm okay with it. And then a lot of people were like, typical CG bullcrap, and just every side imaginable for this question was put in as an answer for this. So turns out that both sides are represented in here as well.
Yeah, I think by reading over these answers, most people are not pleased about characters being removed from territory war. I cannot say that it seems like this is something that this portion of the community is excited about, but we will see how it's implemented, and we will go from there. It's something I'm very curious to discuss. More importantly, I'm interested to see if we can pull together that win so I can complete that stupid quest. I fully expect everyone in our guild to bring their A game, so
we shall see.
We shall see. So yeah, all right. Were there any specific answers in there that you thought worth mentioning?
No, I think that they pretty much just covered the spectrum on what we were looking for to figure out if that was the same across most places and not just Reddit or the forums. So.
All right. So the next question is, will you farm the B28 extinction? My God. Will you farm the B28 extinction class bomber immediately? Seemed like a better option to fleet hard nodes than regular. And 70% said nope, too many other light side, dark side hard nodes. Over 70% said that. And I kind of agree.
It's a hard node life. What can I say?
It is. It's a hard node life indeed.
For me. For us.
Just I was randomly just gonna play it, but I don't have it on the soundboard. Where'd it go?
Oh, it disappeared.
Dang it. Yes, I need a new hard node farm was just under 10% of people. Yes, I need the ship for TB platoons. That was 10% of people. That's pretty funny. Well done. Let's see. Yes, I think the ship is good. That was only 4.5%. And nope, I think the ship is bad. That was a little over 5%. So
the only thing I can tell is that people just don't like where it's at is why they're not farming it, unless they just are not farming it and still think it's bad. But for the most part, the I think it's bad or the yes, I think it's good are very small chunks. I think people just aren't farming it first because they put it where they put it. I can guarantee you this. I would stop Sith Fighter farming and go after B-28 Extinction Class Bomber if it had gone on a fleet node. But for some reason, we don't like to put ships on fleet hard nodes. They continue to go on character hard nodes. I just... Once I finish Sith Fighter, I'll have nothing to farm. Like, except gear. Like, what's the deal? Come on.
That's a good point. I'm excited to finish the Falcon so that I can farm Nest, because my Nest is still 5-star. So, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Final question. Is Hard Node Life your ringtone yet? Who are these 24 people? 13.7% of people said, what the hell is that? I know there are a lot of people that do this poll that don't listen to the podcast. I assume that's the portion of people.
That's why I gave them an answer.
Exactly. There's just over 26% people said yes, and 60% people said no. It would be nice if we could get that hard node life as...
We just got to get 60% of people down to like 30. Then we're good.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
Because if people across the U.S. and the world started hearing my voice singing Little Orphan Annie whenever their phone went off, that would be beautiful. Just saying.
A little concerning, but totally fair. Totally fair. All right. Anything else you wanted to mention about that poll?
I think I'm going to leave the poll as it is.
Hey boys, do you have any tips for us less experienced players?
So I got a very big tip here.
I'm sure you do.
Very big tip.
All right, why don't you tell everyone what we're doing with this topic this week?
All right, so I had my friend Virus message me on Discord this week and thrown out a topic of discussion. And I thought it was an interesting one that maybe we could talk about with Territory Wars coming... Excuse me. With Territory Wars coming up, with Grand Arena coming up, and basically in general, what are the ideas of good teams that we want to use our bigger factions in? And what are the best teams to split up characters into? He wanted specifically to know about Jedi and now I've lost it. Jedi and first Was it first order?
Bounty Hunter?
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. Bounty Hunters. There you go. Yeah, it was Jedis and Bounty Hunters were the two he mentioned, as well as there's Sith out there. There's Rebels are out there, Resistance out. There's a lot of big teams out there. So we wanted to talk about some of these teams and some of the better breakdowns of having multiple teams if you have them geared. So what do you say? What faction would you like to start with?
I guess Jedi is a pretty good way to go. And so what is the context of this? Is this Grand Arena, Territory War, TB, General Farming?
It's not TB because you don't have that many teams you have to use. So those are pretty easy. I think it's more of a Territory War, Grand Arena type thing. Yeah. So what's the best way to split them up to have a defense or 2 defenses or 2 offense teams, that type of deal? If you were going to go solely faction-wise, because some of these get split up. Like I would run Rex in Wampa, and sometimes I'd run Leia with Nest in 3v3s, things like that. Some of them get split up, but if they were to strictly stay faction-wise, how would you split them up? So,
all right, let's just start with Jedi. So for me, the first thing that I see whenever I look at the Jedi would be Bastila Shan is, especially if you don't have Revan, she is far and away the best Jedi leader. So she should be the primary character that you look at. And that is a really good team, in my opinion, to put on defense, just because the way her mechanics work, that much tenacity, being that difficult to debuff. It's not your standard defensive team that you have to deal with. There are obviously good counters to it. I mean, Traya can wreck it, but a lot of people set Traya on defense because she is alone frustrating to deal with, and it's a really good defensive team. So Bastila Shan is, I think, the ultimate starting point for that team. You agree, or is there anyone else that you think would be a good starting point?
I think Bastila is definitely one of my 2 Jedi leaders. If Revan's available. Okay, yes. Revan would be the second.
Yes. If Revan's available, I think he is definitely a no-brainer. Let's eliminate Revan, because I feel like
that would cover more bases for people.
Yeah, I think that just makes things a little bit more useful. So with Bastila Shan, you kind of any tank with her automatically gets taunt at the beginning. So the idea of using someone that is underused, like Mace, that gives him a really good purpose being on that team. He starts out with a taunt. He certainly does something. I think someone like him with Bastila Shan is a really good starting point, and then you can kind of build around that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right about that. I didn't even think about the fact he is listed as a tank, even though he doesn't have a taunt, and he would insta taunt at the beginning.
Yep.
So that makes sense. That is pretty good. Let him soak
I
up
found
the
out
hits for
about
a
that
while.
because I faced someone who had one. I was like, oh wow, Mace is taunting. That's weird. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Who would be the second leader that you would go with ideally?
Ideally,
excluding Red.
It's a toss up between if you're going to put Grandmaster Yoda behind Bastila, I would then go with Qui-Gon, because I still like Qui-Gon's team, especially for offense.
I definitely agree. I really like him a lot for offense. He's a good offensive team. He's not one of those teams that's going to allow you to finish with full health and protection. So, like Grand Arena, maybe it's not like an ultimate offense team, but it's still going to be pretty good. A lot of people have Barriss Zated. If you are one of those people, I think the General Kenobi lead is a fantastic way to go, just because you almost have to expose that team to beat it, which requires using like a resistance team or 3PO. It requires using like a high tier level team to beat, despite it not really being a high tier team at all. And it doesn't even have to be full Jedi. It can be Kenobi, Barriss, Fives. Those three are annoying as hell in 3v3. But you could stick in other teams around them to help build that team. Something that I've been doing lately is my Ayla Secure is only gear 10, but I love using her with Bastila Shan on defense just because she, with all that tenacity, she's not going to get stunned. So that just means that you have to whittle out her protection up so that you can stun her or daze her. And while you're doing that, she's countering. And she can call in assists while she's countering. She is, in my opinion, one of the ultimate characters to put under Bastila Shan lead whenever you're trying to separate these factions out.
Yeah, she's definitely an interesting one because if she doesn't get taunted, she's going to be, or taunted. If she doesn't get stunned, she's going to be countering and stunning you. So that's a pretty good, to have all that tenacity on her to be able to go out and do that can ruin your plans pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Who else do you like as far as Jedi? What do you do with Jolie?
With Jolie?
Yeah.
Well, that depends. Where are you going to put Hermit Yoda? I'd put him on the opposite side. Because if I were in Qui-Gon Jinn and you were talking about the health recovery and that type of thing being an issue, I would probably run Hermit Yoda with him. And then I would probably put Jolie with... No, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know. Because Jolie, I feel like more people would die or have a better chance of dying under Qui-Gon. So you might want to put him on offense to just bring them back while you're playing offense and leave Hermit Yoda under Bastila.
That's a good point.
So...
Well, and here's something else, though, is Jolie has a crap ton of health. He has Unique that gives him health, so he has a ton of health. Bastila Shan's leader ability gives the protection up, which is based on your health. Whittling through all of his protection up, if modded correctly, could be absolute hell and incredibly annoying, and it could cause a timeout. So that's another thing, is that team would be very difficult to beat without, going in there with a really good team.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Other options like Obi-Wan, would you leave him on a Jedi team or would you work him with the Rebels?
I think he has to go with Rebels. I think he's too good with the Rebels.
Same with Ezra and Kanan. You'd probably leave Ezra in the Jedi team and leave Kanan in the Phoenix since they have Zeb to take Ezra's spot.
Yep. I think that's the route I would go.
Yeah, that makes sense because that team even without Ezra in it as a defense team, throwing Zeb in there instead of I keep saying throwing Zeb in there because Zeb is always the last one out for me, but throwing Zeb in there instead of Ezra, all the stuns that he can provide, similarly to Ayala on a Jedi team, because of the counter he gets from Kanan, does very similar things with the extra stuns and the staggers and everything else. So you could definitely keep Ezra on a Jedi team. Now, would you put him under on your offense team or under Bastila, or would you put Grandmaster Yoda and Ezra on the same team with Bastila?
Well, for me, I am probably going to have Grandmaster Yoda on offense just because he's a little bit more efficient on offense in general. Easier to control the battle and such. However, I mean, it kind of depends on what you've got. I mean, I would have no issue having Bastila Shan with Ezra and Grandmaster Yoda on the same team. The only thing I would worry about is having, too many attackers, I guess, because you're going to want a tank. You're going to want a balance of types of characters on the team just to help handle anything that goes up against it. So yeah, I think Grandmaster Yoda is. I think he would need to be with Bastila Shan, and then Ezra's just so versatile. I think you kind of build your teams with what you've got, and then wherever there's a hole, you plug in Ezra, whether it's Rebels or Jedi. He's so good for that reason. Let's see. Jedi Knight Anakin, he's another one. I like him under Bastila Shan. I kind of think, you lose a little bit of what he does well, which is gaining the turn meter base, the allies losing health and him gaining turn meter, things like that. You don't get as much advantage with that, but the fact that he can AoE and give the offense up and things like that, I think can be pretty useful to that team. And he's a really good character, but he fits in really well in general in Jedi teams. So he's another one of those kind of versatile. And like you said, Hermit Yoda, character you want to use on offense because of the protection recovery and all that sort of stuff. I don't think I would ever put Hermit Yoda on defense.
What I like to do is I would probably have Anakin with my second team, whether it was Zeta, Barriss, and GK lead, because I like to put Ahsoka and him together. I think that they just they make a good attacking pair of backup Jedis, so I'd probably leave them out. And yeah, I think that you're on the right track there with what was it? So what have we arrived on with Bast? So Bastila, Ayala, Mace, Grandmaster Yoda, and then who was the other one you said?
I think you can kind of plug in anyone. I'm not sure it matters too much. I probably go Anakin, but I don't know. Like I said, Anakin can kind of fit in anywhere. Like you said, Ahsoka, the idea of keeping those two together is a pretty good idea if you've got them. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it really kind of very quickly starts to depend on where your roster's at. So you basically have, outside of Revan, the three primary leads, which are Bastila, GK, and Qui-Gon. With the GK lead, you're going to want Barriss, Zeta. If you don't have the Barriss Zeta, that gives you a little bit more flexibility to move them around. Qui-Gon Jinn's going to be really good on offense, especially Territory War. And then you have your Bastila Shan teams that I think Mace and Ayla are great with, just because of how much better they get under her versus any other Jedi leader. And then,
you know what I haven't heard you mention that's kind of surprising?
What?
That Grandmaster Yoda Zeta leadership you've got. Because that is also a second option.
Yeah, it's okay. So his leader ability is, let's see, Jedi allies have plus 30% tenacity. Whenever a Jedi resists a debuff, they gain the following: 30% turn meter, crit chance up for 2 turns, and crit damage up for 2 turns. Whenever they suffer a debuff, they gain tenacity up for 1 turn. At the end of, they gain tenacity up for 1 turn at the end of that turn. Grandmaster Yoda is immune to shock. It's good. I don't think anyone should do it, though. I mean, don't spend a Zeta on his leader ability.
Right. I'm saying if you have it, would you use it?
If you have it,
or
no,
are you just never using that again?
No, probably never going to use it. It's fine, but it's...
But I mentioned Qui-Gon Jinn, who had his Zeta from when Zetas were dropped, and that one's still works out.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's good. It offers a lot, and yeah, it's pretty effective. So what was the other faction? Bounty Hunters?
Bounty Hunters.
All right, so let's go to our good old bounty hunting friends. So this is where things really get kind of interesting because
much less
as
to
I've
work
talked
with.
about,
That's key.
a lot
Step
less
one.
to work with. There's exactly enough for 2 teams if you have them already. Bosk lead is unbelievable. It's so good. It's great on defense just because, especially with characters that spit out debuffs. Bosk and Dengar, those two go together, period, end of discussion. Just because of the number of debuffs that Dengar has, those two are fantastic together. I don't think you'll go wrong. But then when you start looking for another leader, it kind of comes down to Django and Boba for me. What about you?
Well, you lost me when you said Dengar has to go with Boss, because you know that I like my Zam thermal detonator offense team. So Dengar wouldn't be with Bosk for me if I was using Zam.
Okay.
But then but the whole idea here is to build 2 teams, because if I did do the Zam team, it would have to be Zam, Dengar, Greedo, Cad Bane, and then another one. So anyone else. Pick one.
Interesting.
Which would leave,
Okay, so
Bosk, Django, Boba, Imbo, or Singh, or IG-88. So one of those would have to go into, It's
so. All right, so
cuts it
here's
right
the
down
deal.
the
I
middle.
think with Zam, I think Dengar should go with Zam unless you have Bosk Zated. I think if you have Bosk leader Zated, I think Dengar has to go with Bosk, and I think Zam is awfully damn good with Bosk as well. I think Zam's leader ability is best just if you don't have Bosk's leader maxed.
We're building 2 teams. Remember that.
No, I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think those 2 leader abilities, you can kind of use the same characters. I think those 3 characters fit together, and it's, if you have Bosk Zeta, then you use that one. If you don't, then you just use Zam for that team. And you kind of keep those 3 stuck together. And then whenever you look at the next team, you have Boba Fett and Django. Boba is awesome with Bosk. I really like using him with him. But that Django leader ability, let's see. Let's go read that off.
I just don't like Boba's payout. It's just tenacity. That's all you get.
I don't care about his payout.
Most people do.
I care about his leader
because
ability.
once you get that payout, it's supposed to be like game altering, and once his adds 25%, I don't know.
Yeah, but Boba's leader ability is game altering from the very beginning. You don't have to get a payout for it to be game altering. So,
well, you don't have to with Django either, and then with his payout, everyone gains bounty hunter resolve. So,
which is great, but
much greater than Boba's, I think, because now you have 2 chances with every person on your team.
That is true. It requires a Zeta, though. So I kind of think.
Well, we're not talking like take Zetas out of the equation. We're talking about best, whether it's Zetaed or not.
Well, no, it matters though, because
why does it matter? Because if you're trying to build teams, you're obviously invested in putting Zetas on teams. So
no, not entirely. I mean, I'm trying to build multiple bounty hunter teams. It doesn't mean that I'm going to spend the Zeta on Django.
Like, I bet you would if you knew that you'd have 2 good teams.
No, not necessarily, because there may be another leader that works.
Argue now, because if you have 100 Zetas, Mats, you're not going to throw one on Django to make a second better team?
What, if I have 100 Zeta Mats, sure, not everyone has 100 Zeta Mats.
I know a lot of people right now that do.
I'm just talking about from an efficiency standpoint. It's like what I was talking about with Bosk and Zam. It's, if you have the better leader Zeta, then you go with that one. If not, The other one is perfectly fine. And I kind of think that's the way it is with Boba and Jango. Like, I'm not going to hesitate on using either one of them. Now, another one that I think is maybe a little under the radar would be Embos. The bounty hunters have 50% counter chance and plus 50% health steal. That's a lot of health steal. They gain offense up. Like, it's a pretty good leader ability. I'm not too familiar with it, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say where I would really rank that one, but I do think there's a lot of interesting potential there, depending on what you're trying to do with the team. Teams with counters and teams that do AoE, both of those teams are really great at making sure the other team doesn't finish with full health or protection. So that's going to be really good on defense in general. So I like that idea with Embo. But like you said, the Jango Fett team is going to be more annoying to deal with the revives. Which kind of makes me think maybe better for offense, because you can maybe sandbag the team a little bit and you're going to have multiple shots to come back and try to take out the enemies. So may kind of depend on exactly what you want to do there. And I will say the one thing that I really like about Jango's leader ability is that it offers things to scoundrels. It's not just bounty hunters, it's scoundrels. And I think that's really important because you have a character like IG-88 who, if you want to build a droid team, he is fantastic for the droid team. I love using like an HK lead with Jawa Engineer and IG-88. That's it's a decent defensive team to put in. If you have a fast Jawa Engineer, you're probably going to make sure the other team doesn't finish with full protection, just because, one, this droid team's kind of easy to kill for the most part, but everyone does AoE. Like, you're not going to get through that battle without getting hit. So I kind of like the idea of tossing him over there if he can't fit in with, like, Bosk or whatever.
Yeah, I think basically your best bet, like, proven team, is to run the Bosk team. And if there's a good team with the rest of them, then do that. But you might want to split up some of them.
Yeah.
Like Jango. Isn't Jango's leadership scoundrels? Besides the payout? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yep.
I mean, you could do the classic Bosk team and then run a Jango team with leftover good bounty hunters like Imbo or who else is left? Imbo, Cad Bane, if you wanted and you didn't have a better scoundrel to put in there. But I'd say your best bet with bounty hunters is to use the Bosk team. That's normal. What is it? Bosk, Dengar, Greedo, Boba, and who's the other one? Who's the fifth one you usually use? I know some people use Imbo in there.
I use Zam.
Yeah, use Zam. I'd probably put Imbo. That's the last one. And then the last one I'd probably start it with Jango and then fill in with the leftover bounty hunters and scoundrels.
IG-88, CAD, RFC, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. What's interesting is every bounty hunter has a leader ability. Let's see. Somebody mentioned that in chat. Tiric Thorn mentioned that. Yeah, they all have leader abilities, which is crazy. I'm not sure how many factions where literally every character in the faction has a leader ability. Kind of funny.
It was those. It was those payouts, man. We pretty much knew from the start if anyone got reworked, they were getting the payout leadership, and that makes so many options for bounty hunters for the different modes in the game. So That's what makes
true.
it fun with these guys. So if you have them all geared, you can easily make any kind of team you want, and that makes them one of the best synergy factions in the game, in my opinion, because you can probably find, now a lot of them take Zetas, so you'd have to get some Zetas involved, but you can probably find a team to beat whatever you want if you had all your bounty hunters geared up.
You want to know, I don't want to say my favorite bounty hunter, but maybe the most versatile bounty hunter is?
Who's that?
Probably Dengar. So he gains stealth, which means you can't freaking hit the guy. He has this amazing AoE that does all this stuff. And he doesn't even need much gear. I mean, my Dengar is gear 9, and he's unbelievable. I mean, I absolutely love Dengar. I think he is... You don't even need to gear him very high, but put some decent mods on him, throw some potency on him, some potency, some health, and some decent protection, and I think he's great. It's
the one thing can be said about him. Every time you fight them in Territory Wars or Grand Arena, you can almost guarantee if he's on the team, he's probably the last person killed.
Every time, yes.
Doesn't matter the gear level. Every time that dude is the last guy there. And it takes, and he's beefy. Like, it takes forever to kill that
He
dude.
is. Yep. He is,
and he's an attacker, isn't he? Yeah, he's an attacker that's that beefy.
Yep. He's another character that it's probably good to put some crit chance on. Like, if you're going to use a crit chance primary, Dengar is a good one just because the effects that he deals out with his AoE is based on, you know, the number of crits that happen there. So,
yeah,
just something to think about. What is the next faction we want to argue and disagree about?
I want to talk about Sith. I think Sith are an interesting one.
All right, let's do it. I do think this one's interesting just because there was a Grand Arena match where I ended up stuck in purgatory with a freaking Savage Oppress. This damn thing was Gear 12, Zeta, and I probably spent 10 teams trying to burn through this thing. Admittedly, at the end, I was kind of sandbagging, so this is another Grand Arena tip. In the Grand Arena, if you've wasted your first 2 battles, where you get the bonus 30 points, then the bonus 15 points, after that, the only thing that matters is making sure that your characters try to finish with full health or full protection or both. Because you can spend 10 battles and it's not going to cost you any more points. You're better off burning a team so that the next team can come in and maybe kill it with one character or something like that so that you can actually maximize points. Because, like I said, after those first 2 battles, it doesn't matter how many teams it takes. All that you want to do is finish with as much health and protection as possible.
Makes sense. Yeah, and you can pull out, you can do the magic turn meter trick too that way. To fix the turn meters. Well, let's say you go in there, they all go once and kill your guys, and now they have little to no turn meter, and you come in with another team, and you're in a much better position than you were before.
That is 100% true. Like, throwing in one character to let him get wasted just to waste the special or turn meter or whatever is a great idea at that point.
And you didn't even have to force close.
And you didn't have to force close. Yeah, exactly. You didn't have to take advantage of a feature of the game to do it.
Feature.
I think that Darth Maul and Savage Oppress are just, God, they're so good together.
Yes. We're on the same page for this because I think there are 2 teams. It's either a Traya lead or a Palpatine lead, and then the backup being a Maul lead with Zeta Savage. A Zeta Maul lead and a Zeta Savage.
And I think Sith Assassin has to go with Darth Maul because of the turn meter gain, the speed. You can get that team to go, the whole team to go fast pretty early, which obviously works to your advantage. I think those three are kind of the staple for that team. And then you have, Emperor Palpatine and Vader that should kind of always stick together, especially if you're using an Emperor Palpatine lead. And then you have, the trio that should kind of always stick together. And then depending on exactly what you have, you can kind of mix your teams up with those characters. Sith Trooper fitting it in wherever. The good thing about Emperor Palpatine is he's kind of an Empire. So you can fit in Empire characters with him rather than just Sith. So if you could really break Sith into 2 Sith teams and then a Sith Empire team.
You could
depending
almost.
on what else you've got. What were you gonna say?
So you could almost, like you were saying, you could almost build 3 teams because for me, I don't use Vader or Palpatine in my Triad League team. I actually use the Triumvirate, Sith Trooper, and then I throw Thrawn in there. And
You don't use Fallen Bastila Shan? Because I think she's the best one to put with that team.
well, if you're looking at my chat and I saw a flashing activate sign to annoy people. Well, if you're looking at the live stream, Fallen Bastila Shan is sitting at 80 out of 25 not activated. So I don't use her for anything.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, but I was going to say you could probably put her in Thrawn's spot. I don't have her activated or geared, so I don't use her. I use Thrawn. But that leaves a Palpatine lead still where that you can throw Vader in and then add in some Empire to build that Sith Empire team. Because there's plenty of... Like, I love Tarkin under Palpatine. He's just throws out so many debuffs. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Put in
Well, not only that, but he removes turn meter. I think Emperor Palpatine with Vader and Tarkin, those 3 are so good together because Vader can go early, give turn meter to Tarkin. Tarkin can remove turn meter from the other team. That's a team that I actually did a write-up as far as speed manipulation and how that works on shatteredorder.com. So if you're unfamiliar or you haven't read that, go check that out. Again, shatteredorder.com, go down the blog section, you'll see the speed manipulation article. And I specifically talk about the Emperor Palpatine with Vader because you can really set up a turn order team, especially with Tarkin, that removes turn meter, and it can be hell to deal with. It can work great on defense. That's the thing I like about it. It's like a machine. You can set it up to where it works basically the same way every time, and there's not really a good way around it outside of starting with tenacity or something.
What's funny is we're talking about that Sith Empire team, and the one I usually use when I use Palpatine is Palpatine, Vader, Tarkin, TIE Fighter Pilot, and Stormtrooper.
Yep.
Because of the Stormtrooper has a really unique turn meter thing with his taunt. I don't know if you ever really look at it.
I don't think I've ever used Stormtrooper, sadly, but I totally agree on the other 4. I love using them together.
Let me read his taunt ability. So he taunts for 3 turns and grants Empire allies defense up for 3 turns. In addition, Stormtrooper removes 10% turn meter from each enemy whenever he is damaged while taunting.
Interesting.
So he's like the opposite of Stormtrooper Han. So anytime they attack Stormtrooper while he's taunting, he's going to take 10% from everyone on the other side.
Very interesting.
So add that in with Tarkin's turn meter manipulation, along with the debuffs from Tarkin, TIE Fighter Pilot, Vader, and Palpatine. You're going a lot, and they're going a lot less. So I do like that team.
I also think Darth Sidious could fit in really well with Palpatine lead just because he does multiple exposes on an AoE, which just offers that much more turn meter to everybody on that team. Oh, I had one other point I was going to make about this, and I do not remember what it was. I'll be honest, I don't know squat about Sith Marauder, so I'm not even going to touch that.
He's one that a lot of people put in with Treya.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so without falling back, so if I wanted to take Thrawn out and I had mine geared a little more, I could toss him in that team in Thrawn's spot. But
yeah,
I think mine's gear 9.
What do you do with
8.
Count Dooku? Because Count Dooku's...
I just put him wherever because he's just a big fat jerk. So
yeah,
I'd probably put him under Maul because it's... I don't know. That's
See,
where
I
think
hate
he would
putting him
fit the
with
most.
Maul. I hate putting him with Maul just because, like, I want people to hit him because he's annoying when you hit him, and they're more likely to miss whenever he's under Maul. But I mean, he is one of those characters. He kind of works well under any lead, and his lead can be annoying if you want to go that route as well.
Throw back to the old meta.
Right? If you
Dooku
don't have
lead.
Maul zated, I think Dooku lead's probably a decent way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like
Why
it.
would you have Maul lead zated? That's stupid.
I know a dude that did that one time.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next faction that we are going... The next and final faction before we get to trivia is going to be Rebels.
Rebels. Rebels.
Boy, are there options here. All right, so here's the deal with... All right, so here's the deal with Rebels. The things that really... that I focus on with Rebels is there are a couple subsections of characters that you want to keep together. For me, Jyn, JaredT, Baze, and Cassian, I love them together. I try to always keep those 4 together. If you have Jyn lead Zeta, it works even better because of the stacking heal over times is going to cause more protection gain for Baze and JaredT. That is fantastic. Cassian is great because of all the debuffs. I really do. I love using Cassian with Jyn, so I think that is a great option. Han and Chewie, they need to stick together. Obviously, CLS is a great lead, so those two with him is a great way to go. R2-D2, he's flexible. He's one of those ones that you just kind of let him fall wherever he falls. Old Ben, he would be with my CLS team. That's where I would prefer him. If you have to put him with Jedi, totally makes sense. I know a lot of people say he's great with Bastila Shan. He's annoying there, and I totally get that, but I like him with Commander Luke. Scarefrable Pathfinder. He is underrated, in my opinion. The revives, the turn meter gain, all of that stuff, he is quite good. He gives you some options. He's kind of plug and play for a Rebel, which is one thing I like about him. You have your Phoenix team that kind of sticks together. And then there's a lot of Rebels that you can kind of do anything you want with. You have Biggs and Wedge that should stick together. You have Admiral Akbar, who was a really good leader. Let's see. K2SO is another good tank. You often see him with Jyn. I think, ideally, if I have them all leveled, K2SO would be with Jyn. Let's see. Are there any specific Rebel teams that you find overly interesting?
Character-wise, I think Hot Han is a good option for a lot of teams because of his heals and revives.
Oh man, that's a good
really
point.
He's really good on defense in a lot of teams that I've seen. If you have him geared, he's a good one to have. That 5th option on the Rogue One team, I know that there aren't a ton of tanks in rebels, so you might want to just kind of split them up a little bit. But putting Scarif Rebel Pathfinder in there with Baze in that in that Rogue One team almost makes it so it's really hard without AoEs to get to the other three, Chirrut, Jin, and Cassian.
That's a good point.
I like those 5 if you're going all Rogue One and you have Jin's lead Zeta. That one's, I do like that.
Let's see. Bistan is really good with he kind of fits in anywhere. He's really cool because he kind of spams turn meter in a way with his frenzy ability. So he's pretty cool to run with Admiral Akbar, just because like you always have somebody doing something on that team. He's quite good there. Him and Power kind of like misfits in a way. They do what they do pretty well, but it's not like they really fit in anywhere all that well. I guess I would both of them would probably go under Akbar lead ideally. Again, kind of depends on exactly what you have, what all characters you have ready to go. Stormtrooper Han, I use Stormtrooper Han with Rex and Wampa and use that to take out a Rebel team. It's pretty effective. The turn meter gain is amazing.
Some of these modes don't let you go in with less than 5. I can't think of which ones I'm thinking of, but sometimes I'll just throw CLS, Stormtrooper Han, Chewbacca, and Han in to save a Rebel, because that team in itself is good enough to beat most things.
That's a good point. Especially
in Grand Arena, I've been doing that. But if I think it's going to be close, I'll throw a 5th one in there. If I don't think it's going to be close, then I won't, because it's only 2 points if you leave one person out. It's not a ton, but that could be the difference in a Grand Arena match. So
yeah,
I like to do that. But just an idea. I love Stormtrooper Han with those things, but I also do like Stormtrooper Han with a Wedge Biggs team.
That's, yeah.
Now the real question is, and I don't think we've really talked about it too much, is Fulcrum Ahsoka, because she really needs a team with a lot of different buffs on the team. What Rebel team has a lot of different buffs like that?
Man, I don't know. It's a good question, actually.
Because I struggle with that on my other account, because I have a Gear 12 Ahsoka that I pretty much use just to fight and put her on any team because she's Gear 12, but she's never really used efficiently. And that's a question that I've always wondered, never really looked into.
Well, you have Revan. Put her with or I guess put her. Or hey, Bastille Shan. Put
She's
her
not
with
a Jedi,
that
though.
team. So use Bastille Shan to give her a crap ton of
Oh
buffs.
yes, okay. I see what your point is for all the buffs. That is a good idea, actually. I kind of like that.
Another. You mentioned Stormtrooper Han, who I think is great, fits in a lot of areas. My favorite team that I have ever ran in this game, the Lando lead with Admiral Akbar, Stormtrooper Han, and then you could plug in like an IG-88 or Old Ben, both of them, or you have some options there on AoE, but you set up your turn meter to where Stormtrooper Han's ridiculously fast, and then Admiral Akbar goes, and then Lando does back-to-back AoEs. That's one of those teams that could catch somebody off guard in, Territory War Grand Arena if they're a little, if they try to sandbag it a little bit. It's something that could, maybe take out a character or two that they weren't expecting and, change the way that goes. The problem is, once you get rid of the taunt on Stormtrooper Han, that team will fall apart very quickly. But you have to survive that initial onslaught, so good luck there. Yeah, I didn't really mention 3PO just because, I mean, I don't know. Put him wherever
You
you want to
mentioned
put him.
R2 earlier, and I
matter.
was like, I don't think that most of the time I don't use R2 with Rebels.
Really?
Same with
I do.
3PO.
Interesting.
I usually, well, in TB, I for sure put him with RJT and BB-8 and just 3-man every wave. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't often think about him with her. I think that, yeah, I usually use him with resistance because of his AoE and the exposes it does to get the extra turn meter.
Yeah.
So I don't usually use him in Rebel teams. Same with C-3PO.
I mean, it makes sense, but interesting.
Yeah, it works.
I am very tempted to Zeta Jin and take her to gear 11. That would give me another pretty good team for Grand Arena and such.
Yeah, I just Zeta Jin. I just Zeta Jin on my alt, and that team is super fun. Definitely added an extra defense team for me to use.
If my base was better, I would have no question doing it, but my base is gear 8. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that or not. So
yeah,
I don't know. Anything else you want to discuss about the Rebels?
No, I think that pretty much covers it for me. Unless you got
All right.
something.
Nope.
So.
I think we should go to this.
It's time for the sexy bearded duo to battle in their SWGOH knowledge in the most exciting trivia event in the Outer Rim. It's time for the Shattered Order trivia. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with us indeed. All right. Time for you to bust out your Kahoot app. And, all right, dude, we are going to have, I don't want to say fly through this, but my phone has 5%.
You don't have a charger right there on your desk?
I don't.
Okay,
I
well,
don't know where it's at.
My game is currently running my special mission on the stream, so once it finishes that, then we'll be good. But I do have my other phone, which is turning on to start things off. So let's give it a second.
All right.
Let's watch Chewie and Han and CLS destroy Vader, and then I'll be good to go.
And everyone out there in podcast land can go ahead and be getting ready with the pin code, which is 0271300. 0271300.
What's the name of this one? What are we working with here?
I don't know. That's your job.
All right. Well, now that that's over. Now that that's over.
That's last week's.
All right. So this, way to go, dude. All right. Shattered Order trivia this week. The title here is kind of a mishmash. Tesh 2019. That's what he called this. So, title of this trivia is kind of a mishmash. All right. So what we got here is a pin number. I'm pressing the wrong buttons everywhere. All right. Pin number
what's
is
that new code?
0859 559. 0859 559.
Nice little pattern there.
Yes.
0859 559.
I almost have them both brought up. So we've listened to your feedback, and I want to say that I will read off the answers when I read the question. That way we can immediately go into the question and provide our answers.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So, are you ready, good sir?
Let's do it.
All right,
Before
question
my phone
one
dies.
is, who is the only character to have a buff that no one else can gain? Wampa, C-3PO, Revan, or Jango Fett, and go.
Ooh, a buff that no one else can gain.
I'm not 100% sure that I agree with this answer.
I cannot think of a correct answer on this one.
I'm curious what the correct answer is speaking about. Have you picked yet?
No, I'm still deciding. I don't know. I do not know.
And I thought I knew this pretty well.
All right, I'm going to pick Jango. And I got it correct.
You did. Tell me,
What did you pick?
who else gains protection up locked? 'Cause I picked Wampa. Nobody else can get a locked protection buff.
There are ships that can get that.
Locked?
Yes.
Who? But,
All
well,
of
it
them.
doesn't really matter because it says character.
That's true. But I mean, protection up is common.
You're right. Like I said, locked. No one else can get protection up locked. And that is still a buff.
Interesting.
I feel cheated. I was going to pick Wampa anyway.
That's fair. All right. What's the
Joker,
next
to your thing in chat, Wampa doesn't get it as a buff. He just gains bonus protection. It shows up as a buff. And it's locked. If it was just bonus protection, there would be no need for a buff above his head.
Perhaps.
I'm just saying.
All right. What's the next question?
All right, next question is, who dispels all buffs on the target enemy on basic? Logray, ISC, Imbo, or Nest?
All right. I'm able to rule out two of these. And then it's basically a coin flip on the next two. And I do not know.
Me too. So I'm going to go
right.
with this one.
And did you get it right?
Nope, got it wrong.
I got it wrong too. I picked ISC. Who'd you pick?
I picked ISC as well. I had it down to Imbo and ISC.
Yep, same here. I knew it wasn't Logray. I knew it wasn't Nest. And so, yeah.
Tesh
Darn.
says it's Django's damage immunity is the buff that he gains no one else
That
can.
is true. I totally forgot about that. He does, yes. That is... Wow. Yep, no one else has that in the game. That is true.
All right, question 3.
All right.
3 of these characters can inflict a certain debuff. Which one cannot inflict said debuff? Cander's Ordo, Sith Marauder, Gamorrean Guard, and Zalbar. I feel like this is a trick question because I feel like I know the answer. I just...
I
feel
know
like
what the
it's too
debuff
obvious.
is. I don't know which... Actually,
You're probably
I don't
down
know.
to 2 if it's the... I feel like I'm being tricked here. Should I pick... You know what? Screw it.
Damn it.
Yes, I got it right. All right.
It was down to Zalbar and Sith Marauder for me, and I lost the coin flip yet again.
Dude, Zalbar does dots. You were thinking of dots, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Zalbar does dots. That's why he works good under Karth Onasi lead.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. Not real familiar with Zalbar, other than I hate him. But
him and Mission both do dots. That's why they're also both good under Karthonasi.
oh, okay. Learn something new every day.
All right. So I picked Sith Marauder because I knew the other three did dots. So there's that. Question 4. Which ship does not have a way to boost protection? IG-2000, Kylo's Shuttle, Gauntlet Starfighter, or Houndstooth?
Ooh. Again, down to 2 of them.
Hashtag
No idea which one it
ships.
is. Oh.
Hashtag ships, hashtag guess every time.
Yes! Finally got the coin flip correct.
So did I. 1 for 4 chance, and I got it right.
Wow. I knew that Gauntlet Starfighter gave protection up as a reinforcement. Houndstooth does it whenever he's attacked. And I was thinking Kylo's Shuttle did, so I selected IG-2000.
I guess it wasn't technically 1 out of 4 chance for me. I knew
It was a
Houndstooth gave
33%.
himself protection, so it was more like, I think Kylo's Shuttle does, so I'm not going to pick it. And then down between
Nice.
Starfighter and IG-2000, so whatever.
Makes sense.
All right, question 5.
All right, question 5.
Which ship can assist allies if called in as a reinforcement? Why are we asking so many freaking shift questions? Jedi Consular, Slave 1, Vader, or Resistant Pilot's X-Wing? Go.
All right.
It's down
what
to
did you
2 again
select?
for me. I haven't picked
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I got this one right, so the pressure's on.
yet. I also got it right. Resistant Pilot's X-Wing.
Oh, you lucky. Lucky. This one I actually knew. I knew that those 3 did not do that, so that basically just left Resistance Pilot's the only one who might, so.
I didn't know Consular didn't, but I knew that I had no idea what Resistance Pilot X-Wing did, so I figured that was probably it.
Yeah.
Go with the most obscure one that you can.
That's usually a safe bet, yeah.
All right. Finally, we can farm the B-28. It gains taunt, ... The first time a Sith ally takes damage, whenever a Sith ally evades an attack, whenever a concussion mine explodes, and whenever a Sith ally falls below 100% health. Go.
No idea.
I think I have an idea just based on what the ability made me think of.
I'm so annoyed right now.
Hey, did you get it wrong?
I did.
You had 2 chances, apparently.
Yeah, there's a 50-50 chance of getting it, and I didn't even realize it. And still got it wrong. 2 ways. The first time a Sith ally takes damage, and whenever a Sith ally falls below 100% health.
And I knew it was the 100% health one because I remember when I read it, I was like, so he's the Royal Guard of ships? Only Royal Guard's 50% health, I think. But anyways, I was like,
I'm
Royal
glad
Guard of
you-
ships?
Glad you mentioned Royal Guard, because that's another character I like using with Emperor Palpatine lead and stuff.
All those
Underrated.
stuns, man.
Yeah, stuns for days. All right, what's the next question?
All right, next question is... Which hard node is not a major panic farm for many players right now? Oh my god. Lightside 6E, Lightside 6C, Lightside 8D, or Lightside 8B? 1 out of 4 here.
I literally have no idea. I was so close. I narrowed it down to 2, and again, I got it wrong.
I thought 6C was for sure one of them. I would have never picked it.
Ugh. This is terrible.
It is terrible.
So you got it wrong too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. All right. What is question number 8?
Who cannot inflict shock? Palpatine, Basilisk Fallen, Dooku, Sith Assassin. Go. I knew it. Oh.
I was thinking they all could.
So was I.
What'd you pick?
Have you answered yet?
I have.
Oh, I was like, I'm not telling you.
Yes, I have.
I picked Bastila.
I picked Sith Assassin. I knew for a fact that Palpatine, Dooku, and Bastila did, and I felt pretty sure that Sith Assassin did. I thought she had an ability where she did that, but I could be wrong.
Well, she has an ability where she shoots lightning, but apparently doesn't inflict shock. So. Whoopsie. I should have just picked that one because she's old.
Interesting.
All right. Last question. Who revives allies on the Kira team? Mission Zalbar, L3, or Vandor Chewie?
I know this. I picked the wrong one and I have no idea why. I know what the freaking answer is because I hate that bloody Wookiee.
Hey, that eliminated 2. All right, I got it right.
I hate that Wookiee. I hate that Wookiee. Specifically, Cubs Vandor Chewbacca. Yeah, very annoying. Very, very annoying.
All right, sir. Coming down to the wire. How did you do?
3,000? Did you do better or worse than 3,000 something?
5,175.
Well, you destroyed me then. 37.55 here.
It was that four question streak right in the middle.
Oof, yeah, not good. Thanks, Tesh. Thanks for poking at me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, buddy.
Good guy.
Yep, good.
Makes
guy.
perfect sense that would happen.
Real good guy. Indeed. Well, that wraps it up for trivia this week. I hope you guys did better than I did, and hopefully you learned something from
and
trivia.
Worse than me. How about that?
Not good. That's you're the only person I care about beating.
Yeah, and you didn't. So that kind of sucks.
I know.
All right, so then.
All right.
I just want to throw these last few things out there like we always do. If you want to join our Discord where you can help shape the podcast, if you want to give out ideas in the podcast feedback section, go ahead and do that. Like I said, today, the idea about the teams, the bigger teams, and kind of how we mix them up and shake around those teams was given by a listener this past week. So we always listen to your feedback and ideas you'd like to hear about, and we use that stuff. So if you want to be part of that, go to discord.me/shatteredorder. You can join our Discord right from there and be a part of helping shape this show. If you listen to the podcast and you have a Friday night free, most of the time Friday night, if you want to come join us on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/shatteredorder. We usually stream on Fridays. Sometimes we do on Thursdays, depending on our schedules, but we will always let you know ahead of time what is going on. Twitter is twitter.com/shatteredorder. And finally, our Patreon is patreon.com/shatteredorder. I guess that wasn't the final. The finally is, if you have feedback for the show or you want to submit a audio intro to the show, those are always welcome at theshatteredorder@gmail.com. Anything you want to get a hold of us quickly, if you're not doing it through Discord, you can do through our email, and we will get back to you once you've written us. So I want to throw all that stuff out there. And one last thing. big shout out to our sponsors, Blue Microphones. We appreciate all the work and the things that they've done for this podcast, helping us to sound better. I would say look better, but I don't know if I look any better since we got Blue stuff. But if you like Blue, go check out their stuff on their website. If you end up buying something, if you use the code SOPOD at checkout, you'll get 20% off, 1/5 of the entire price off. They have some awesome stuff. We use it every week. If you want to use it for gaming, starting your own YouTube, starting your own stream, whatever you want to do, it's all there. So with that said, I want to say thank you for listening. Wink, you got anything left?
Not really. No. I think that pretty much covers it.
Great. Well, we will catch you all next week for episode 132. Until then,
Heck yeah.
You have a good week and try not to stay out of the cold. How about that?
Do your best, everyone. Stay warm, and we will catch you next week. Later.
You've just finished with the Shattered Order podcast. Join us next week for another round.